What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 32 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Tiktaq'to Immortal Empires Expanded campaign. So as we saw last time, we got some pretty darn cool fights. Tehanawan and the Avatar of Sotek took on Tlaqua, and even though the enemy nuked us, let's just say the impact of Chicxulub and did more damage over the course of the battle. Otherwise, we got the nice little contest between fire and water as Izozyme's water army took on one of the Tzeentch forces, who, again, this is annoying and we're going to have to deal with it. Yeah, they're gonna go for Matt Meyer, and we don't really have anybody else here that we could send to it, so I guess Izozyme's gonna have to go back to sea. Oh well, and what are you gonna do? Anyway, we'll deal with that in a second, or in a few seconds. We have a new turn, and thus everybody has to move, and as always, Tic-Tac, you're gonna start the day. Head on over to Carrick Azorn. We gotta keep working on the Mountains of Morn until we reach the, until we reach Shangyang, so we can give the capital back to the Western provinces and sort of shore up the problems in Cathay in general. Actually, if we could get, the border, okay, no, I'm not fixing that for them. It's going to be too annoying. They have too much of it. Anyway, Izozyme, I would like you to march stance and get as close to Harald the Rune Smasher as possible. All that landing for nothing, but it's okay. I'm sure Izozyme feels very much at home in the water now. Washti, since Morathi has now declared war on us, or technically we've defended our allies in the exiles of Nehek, I guess we're starting the fights here. So, Washti, you're gonna head to Silver Tor, which is poorly defended, so should be auto-resolvable. Like so. And occupy the place. Next up, hey, seasoned campaigner, lovely. Next up, these two are unfortunately unable to reach the enemy, and I've decided what we are going to do with both of these armies. They're effectively complete now. Rakirin is still in need of a skink oracle, but otherwise his army is mostly done. And Kroq-Gar, I decided rather than going for the Carnosaurs with him, yeah, sure, we have a Carnosaur for, well, Grimlock for Kroq-Gar himself. But I figured we should think a little bit bigger. So we've given him the Shredder of Illustria, and we're going to give Kroq-Gar a couple more of the Dread Saurians as soon as they're recruited. Yeah, they're going to perform better in an army that can heal them significantly more, but, you know, give them an Oracle, and that should solve at least part of the problem. It won't keep them fully healed up like a Slan would, but good enough for our purposes. Gorok, you are going to land the guy in Vale, and you're going to besiege Morathi herself, and I would imagine she should sally out, especially considering the sheer amount of range capability she's got. Let's supply some of these points, because frankly it's looking like we're gonna need it. Gorok does, wait, Epicentrus, okay, that buffs your turtles and the basties. Okay, admittedly it doesn't look like you have to do all that much otherwise there. Thick-skinned, admittedly probably less useful for Gorok in particular. Let's get him impassable defenses. At the very least, Morathi's magics are going to be pretty useless against him. And, what is it? Wait, do you actually lose speed if you do this? You do lose speed. Wait, why do they do that? It's kind of weird. Okay, I don't know. Weird, but whatever. I'd rather gain speed because Gorok is rather slow, but let's go through Foe Seeker. Start with Enforcer of Order. Skink Oracle. We have Life Bloom, Wild Heart. Those are the critical ones. We probably want her thing as well. And I'm gonna say let's grab, you know what, let's grab the second point in Missin's Wild Form so that you can overcast it and, you know, give everybody armor. And what about the Saurus Scarvets? Now, we do have the important stuff, which is Ferocity of Age and Combat Reflexes. We could go through We Are the Elite, so let's do that next. We are usually attacking, granted we won't be, oh, wait, We Are the Elite in this situation is Weapon Strength for rank 7, so it would just universally apply. Lovely. We are the elite. It's true. Anyway, you don't have a rank 18 for the car now. Oh well. Skink Priest to Beasts. Now you do have the Wissen's Wild Form already, which is why it wasn't a critical thing to grab with the other guy. You can next go through, I'm gonna say, You are on the Ancient Stag. Probably go for the Engine of the Gods on you, meaning you're going to need the missile resistance, so let's get you Agility of the Lizard. Alright, as soon as we end the turn, that fight's happening. Next, we've got Tyrannicon, who is... We could attack Alana the Grey Vanquisher here. Mazda Mundi can then take up the spot in Tauranrock, though I guess minor problem will be these guys. Probably could attack us immediately afterwards. But nonetheless, alright, Tyrannicon, let's level you up and then let's get into it. So, you have Hunt Leader and you're still going through it. Let's do that. What about you two? Saurus Scarvets. Now, Sacred Adornments is still the way to go because we want Ferocity of Ages and we want... It's just Ferocity of Ages. Well, actually, we want to Commence the Massacre as well. So yes, Ferocity of Ages. Or Age, whatever. And the same for you, buddy. Sacred Adornments and... Oh, I never leveled you. Oh, well, that's my bad, bud. Yeah, definitely Ferocity of Age for when attacking. Don't really care about the combat reflexes and all of this stuff because we don't have them in the army, so we'll go for Hunter's Instinct and, most importantly, Commence the Massacre. Charge bonus is, after all, pretty important to this army type. Esteemed Combatant, I think, is pretty darn worthwhile as well because, you know, decent likelihood that we're on the defensive. And I guess we'll go for the We Are the Elite. Actually, troop training would be helpful here as well, but, you know, attacking and all that. We'll get those things afterwards anyway. What about the Skink Oracle? Do you guys have a blessing that helps with the... Yeah, this is just flyers. Yeah, not really. No blessing is really helpful in this particular army, but that's all good. Fireball, definitely Earthblood. I'm going to say, since you're the only caster in this army, we will need to prioritize Wisdom's Wild Form here. Definitely Evasion, then definitely both Wild Heart and Life Bloom. Those are the main spells. I still want, you know, Harmonic Convergence and Flock of Doom, but we have a... we have other priorities in this situation. Anyway, you are going to quickly knock out Wendy Half-Mast. Like so. Hopefully this doesn't damage our army in any significant manner. And we'll use a tiny bit of healing. Free Trickster Shard, and then we're going to move on into White Peak. Let's see if Alana the Grey Vanquisher sticks around. Decisive victory, low casualties. I'm a little bit wary of the damage that could be dealt here. These guys could immediately attack us thereafter. You cannot, however, and if these guys do, I'd wager they'd still lose. So I think you're safe to auto-resolve this one. It's just not worthy of Tyrannicon's attention. Another Skink Prophet, that'll help with, well, if we do need to do any more recruitment, any additional recruitment. You Mazda are going to quickly grab this Remnants of Battle and grab the Hall of True Silver. Heavy Iron, very nice. And... you could grab Arnheim real quick. I mean, yeah, why not? I was gonna say, go to Tauranrock. Oh, are you able to reach Tauranrock? I wonder. I'd rather not lose it, so I think maybe we'll prioritize Tauranrock, actually. Like so. And then we could always take the gates. Like I've said before, because of the way that the... Oh, for the love of... don't do that. The way that the gates work, or the single territories work for the Lizardmen, they're actually a lot more useful to us than most other factions. Anyway, Antsianam, I believe you're done here. You're gonna sail northwards, so go ahead. Alright, Tehenowin, you're next on the menu. You have defeated Ikit Claw, or at least one army of his. Let's take out Morphinrod next, then move back to whatever this is. Alright, go after a Morphinrod like so. Medium cat. Really? Why? Ow, what the heck? There's a... Huh? Where is this army? Was there an ambushing army nearby? Alright, I mean... if the game wants us to fight this, we'll fight this. Why not? I don't see these guys doing well, but they do have a nuke, so we still have to watch out for that. It nearly crippled one of our units last time. Go. Alright, here we go. Gotta love the Stargate on the back of the engine of the gods there. Or I guess it's supposed to be like a glowing halo. Or maybe it is. Maybe it is a gate. Anyway, and not that that matters, and nothing will matter to the rats soon, as they will be dead. Here comes the avatar of Sotek, which will open the battle. This thing has got, let's see, 144 speed. Yeah, it's pretty darn quick. And of course, we could have given the big giant flyer to Tiktaq'to, but he doesn't need it. And again, it feels very much lorefully appropriate for Tehenowen. Alright. Sotek's gotta, show his support of his favorite servant. Anyway, our main army is going to move on in and crush the first army before the second one arrives. Of course, the second one is moving in fairly soon, but unfortunately, it's got a long way to travel to the center of the map. Now, we could have probably waited until we destroyed most of the enemy, or all of the enemy warp grinders, so we didn't walk our red crests into the seismic snare and the warp quake, but at the same time, I'll let the rats have a chance, I guess. It won't matter, as the might of Sotek will ensure that our red crests are victorious regardless. Alrighty, the balance of power is in the enemy's favor now, but because the enemy reinforcements have arrived on field and are moving towards us, though their army is getting torn to shreds. A Ark of Sotek Bastillodon, together with one of the Red Crests, have torn apart the black hole flayers here. You gotta like the Arks of Sotek powered up as they are with the Henwan. I'm wondering whether the Arks of Sotek, Krokkar used to, I don't know if he still does. Ooh, here comes another nuke. It looks like that nuke actually hit Tehenowen rather than another unit. It actually dropped directly on his head. Well, it's not bad, actually. 30% damage to him. It's actually kind of impressive. Actually, maybe closer to 25%, but nonetheless. And granted, it would have been much better for the enemy if it had wiped out one of our red crests, and I believe that's what it was aimed for. But again, just like the previous time we saw the nuke, it has a level of randomness, which means it won't quite hit exactly where you're planning it to hit. But anyway, looks like this first army is pretty much done for. The chieftains remain alive, but, well, they take a little bit longer to kill. And oh, right, what I was talking about before I got distracted by the nuke. The Arks of Sotek. So Krokkar have this ability to upgrade units, kind of like Tyrion does, I guess. And last time I played him, I wonder if that's still the case, because I do remember the Arks of Sotek having the option of getting a Overwhelm upgrade ability on their melee damage, which would, when in combination especially with their Ark of Sotek ability, it made them incredibly nasty. Overwhelm is in general a very nasty ability in SFO. Mostly because it, effectively disables a unit. Or prevents it from doing damage, and especially when combined with that Ark of Sotek. What I'm getting at is, with Overwhelm, they would actually be better in Krogkar's army than they would be under Tehenowen, which doesn't give them any kind of special melee attack, and they have regular poison on their ranged attacks. Which is great, but, it's easy to get other sources of poison. It is absolutely not easy to get other sources, or to get any sources of Overwhelm. But anyway, I digress. The second army has arrived, and similar to when we fought at Claw, we're going to have these Sauropod riders do plenty of damage to them. Oh, that was a pretty nice hit. Alright, rattling guns lose about half of their HP to a volley from, well, frankly, all of the Sauropod riders. It does look like a fair few of those bolas will miss, unfortunately. They are rather slow-traveling projectiles, so as long as the enemy is moving, they do have a tendency to miss, but that's fine. And that's perfectly fine. If they were super quick, they'd probably be overpowered. Anyway, I'm going to keep backing off and dropping those bolas on the enemy, especially making sure to keep out of range of the warp grinders. We'll try to grind them down with bolas as well, but gotta stay away from that seismic snare. Unfortunately, with, 83 speed, I don't think these guys are getting caught, unless, unless skirmish mode breaks. But in this particular case, we're babysitting them a little bit, allowing those guys to get to work while our main line makes sure to chase down most of the enemy here. Battle's nearly ours, in fact, with the bounce power at about 90%. That unit of warp grinders will maybe take a couple more hits and then we'll turn. There we go. And now the Sauropod Riders are in no real danger. There are a couple of units of, Storm Vermin with Halberds, the Gutter Runners still around that could, in theory, be dangerous, but unfortunately for the Rats, they've both realized that they've no hope of winning, shattering due to army losses, and giving the battle to us. Lovely. Alright, just watching a few more bolas from those Sauropod Riders. Huh. I'm now wondering whether we should give some bola units to a Kroxigor, an ancient Kroxigor, because of the spin to win animations. The bolas spin to win as well. I'll think about it. Alrighty, there we go, no problem, and looks like a fair bit of damage out of the Sauropod Riders. Certainly against the Skaven bola units are going to generally be effective, and funnily enough, because of the threat of Howling Warp Gale, ground bolas are going to be better than air bolas against this one particular faction. So, good job to the Sauropod Riders, who certainly won the prize for most damage, ignoring Tehenuan himself. I guess we are potentially going to continue on, so let's kill and eat for now. Where's the other army? Oh, there we go. Sneaky, sneaky rats. They actually retreated to where the other army was. I love it. Go and kill them all, please. Free power stone, and... I wonder if that means that Ikit is over there, then. Okay, I'll resolve this. Yes. Hopefully this doesn't damage us more than the actual battle did. Now it looks like we're okay. And I guess killing needs to full. Oh, darn, I should have waited for... Okay, well. Free Wardrobe with Zahotek and a Dawnstone. You are going to not be able to reach Caracas the Blade. I would like you to go into March stance here. Oh, what's the likelihood that they go for Magritta? I guess we'll see. There's probably other armies out here, but at the same time, I don't really care about these territories, so, that's still the case. Anyway, we have some alignments. And let's see. Diga, your army is nearly complete. We have alignments done here. Washti, you... Okay, I guess we could double up on the Blessed Spawning of Quetzal on these guys. Like so. Alright. Yeah, gotta remember that the... Blessed Chameleon Stalkers and I believe the Saurus Spears have the Blessed Spawning of Quetzal available. Yeah. It would be really nasty with a Life Slan, but yeah, I think we could do a Quetzal-themed army for Quetgar. Yes, but anyway, we'll deal with that in a bit. You, birds, let's have you do some things. I guess we should level the birds up first. I mean, they are what we've been waiting for here. They will probably want melee defense because their melee defense is generally speaking quite low. So we'll go for Ancient Power into Becoming Conscious. And I'll probably want Unified Consciousness as well for the armor. 1, 2, 3, and then here. Then we'll probably need at least some spells. False Protection is the main one. And I'm going to say of the others, it's probably gonna be Time Warp. We're probably looking to spam Shem's Burning Gaze. I don't really care for Banishment. Light of Battle's pretty okay as well, but not super critical here. Yeah, let's go Baroness Time Warp and False Protection here. Alright, it's gonna be a very minor fight, but I've been excited to see the birds in action, so I think we're gonna send them on in. Carsonics, of course the Great Eagles we've got, well, we've seen the Kulkin, but nonetheless. Yeah, we're gonna fight this just for fun. Plus I want to see how, well, 61, not quite there yet, but you're gonna be a very speedy Slan eventually, yeah. Alrighty, here we go. We got our fast slan and the various birds. Alright, the Raakhse here does look pretty good. That's a scary big bird. And, well, I'm about interested to see how effective it is in the melee. Now, we've got the Carsonics that are going to be leading our eagles, and I think this was a pretty good choice. They actually look like they... Is this an eagle body or a carrion body? I noticed that they have seemingly bigger tail feathers, and oh, they have a carrion face, don't they? Oh, I do like the look though. Yeah, very nice. All right. Let's see how the army does, as that remains to be seen. Obviously, the Kulkan riders are moving in onto the sides or onto the flanks. The enemy army isn't a full army, so I don't expect them to have a great big chance, but who knows. Anyway, we're going to start off by launching a few of those bolts of the old ones at the enemies at about a 3/4 range, and unfortunately, and once again, this thing isn't very effective, or at the very least, it's very likely to miss what it's actually firing at. I just wanted to make sure that, that slightly clipped the unit, almost hit that. Come on, one of them's gotta hit, at least we have no cooldown on it now. Nope, and okay, that unit was standing still, come on, man. Alright, one more time, now at the max range. Let's see if this one manages to hit. It was targeting this unit, and it actually did more damage by hitting a unit that it wasn't targeting. Well, at least that's something. Most likely I'm going to swap out the bolt of the old ones for blessing of the old ones, or whatever the buff of spell is that you can get instead of it, because it's just unreliable. Not as unreliable as a magic missile, but, you know, still pretty unreliable. Anyway, the big birds make their way forward. We're going to buff them up with a nice Faz protection, plus 40 melee defense completely counteracts their relatively low melee defense, and, well, it should allow them to tear through those enemies. Now, are they using a Carnosaur? Using the Carnosaur animations? I feel like they are. I mean, how many two-legged monster animations do we have? 90% sure these are Carnosaur animations, but anyway. In the meantime, the Carsonics will touch down with the Eagles, and the Eagles may not be our units, but as many of you know, I do love the Eagle units in SFO. They're devastatingly effective. And with the bigger Eagles, essentially, to lead them, and the tiny little Kulkan moving around, it looks like we got a nice little army comp here. And they are absolutely tearing through those Dark Elves. The bounce power has shifted to about 90% in our favor. Our Slan, though speedy, at 61 speed already, and will be eventually quite a bit faster. And we'll also, well, sort of zip around periodically casting spells, but we'll generally be able to keep out of range of any enemy units, other than perhaps any fast-moving cav, but we have enough fast movers of our own to countercharge them and such. Anyway, the bird... I was laughing at all the Dark Elves being sent flying. The birds are doing pretty good. I might have even used the regular Kulkan rather than the Kulkan Riders, since it's effectively the only rider-type unit in this army, but all good. Alright, and with that, the enemy army shatters in the battle, the first battle, very quick, but first battle of the birds is ours. We've got a fair few more fights against the Dark Elves in our future, I'd wager. Alrighty, there we go. That was just for fun, but, well, fun it was. The Raakhse, which are tier 5 unit, I want to say, but the big bird, the big ground bird, did pretty darn well, though admittedly the Eagles did pretty much equally or better. Well, maybe not better, but equally. And yeah, never underestimate Eagles. And the Carsonics are there to help them out as a single entity to, well, you know, anchor the Eagles. Not that the Eagles need it. A lovely work from all the bird brains. Occupy the place, and that'll complete this province as well, and we'll send the birds off to do other bird things, as they do. Jungles of Pawalasha is ours. Also, while we're here, let's also upgrade some of this stuff. I mean, we're here after all. There we go. Alright, good job, birds. Lovely debut. Oshiotla, I do believe you have about 1 billion ogres to fight, so let's level you up and then let's get on in there. You are missing. You have Soulbound, Epicentrist, and Jungle Dominion. Yeah, so the feral troglodytes are buffed by Beast Driver. I think Red Line is good now, so let's get you Agility of the Lizard just for the additional speed. I guess the missile resistance isn't a bad thing to have either. Yeah, no. Anyway, Life Bloom, Wild Heart, Earthing, Magical Reserves, and then I want a second point. Well, okay, let's break up Telepathic Connection, but I'm gonna say double up on Vissen's Wild Form and double up on Flock of Doom. I want Overcast available of both of them. You're gonna do the same thing essentially, Earthblood, and oh, you don't have the points to do both. Alright, Vissen's Wild Form. And what about the Skink Chief? You are going to go through Imposing Stature and then Resilient and then Marked for Service as well. Keep buffing up those skinks. You are now on an Ancient Stag, which I'm gonna say stay on the Pterodon. Or should we put you on the ground? Well, no, I guess, oh, Shieldla commands from the ground, so yeah. And you guys are at war with a total of nobody, and you're friendly with a bunch of factions nearby. And we could just not attack you, but I kind of, again, don't like you down here. Though, Scorn Basin is a uninhabitable wasteland. Yeah, but again, I don't like them owning a territory here. I want to connect these territories with these territories. Plus, how many opportunities are we going to have to fight ogres, right? Declare war. We can always peace out with them immediately after. Just let them live at here. Maybe? Yeah, let's do that. Oh, Shotla just wants to fight some ogres, guys. It's a thing. Anyway, yeah, we got. Oh wow, the garrison in Avauka is actually pretty decent. There's gonna be a lot of enemies. Yeah. Which do we want to destroy? I guess we want to destroy this army because it's, I think, bigger before attacking the other ones. So let's go for this one. Death Cheater or Rot Teeth. Let's put the lie to the name. Minus the Rot Teeth. Yeah, this should be pretty fun. Pyrrhic Victory, Casualties, Medium. Shiotlet face stuff against 2 Cornate stacks. Let's see if he can handle 3 Ogrish stacks. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Oshiotl's army did pretty darn well against the Cornates in a 2 versus 1. Let's see how he does in a 3 versus 1 instead. Now, we do have 1 army deployed before the 2nd and 3rd armies arrive, so we're going to do our best to dish out damage with our combination of Chameleon Skinks and Skink Skirmishers. Of course, with the Blessing of Huan Chi on the Blessed Skink Skirmishers and that bleed application that it allows them to apply, plus the fact that it gives them stock, it effectively makes them, well, stronger than regular Chameleon Skinks, which, you know, seems appropriate for a Blessed unit. Alright, and I love once again all the different types of ammunition coming in from these guys. Alright, let's see how effective it is. The first of the enemy units melt away. Obviously, the Hobgobs are going to be pretty fragile, so that's unsurprising. The enemy artillery I was trying to target with the Shiotla, but unfortunately the enemies start bum-rushing us with all of their Ogre Bulls. And we're going to have to back off. At the very least, we're going to have to back off with most of our units. Send a few of those precursor weapons at the enemy Ogres from the Chameleon Stalkers, and that should knock them down. And then we'll continue backing off. They have no chance of catching the Parasaurs, especially thanks to the Quick Step ability, which activates when the Parasaurs are in melee, well, near melee range, and gives them the ability to run the heck out of there. Which is nice. What does it say? A burst of speed to evade predators. Makes sense. Which is, again, one of the reasons why I figured that these guys are more of a, or supposed to have been designed more of as a skirmisher unit, though again, they seem to perform better in melee. But that's probably a good thing because they can skirmish, and when the enemy closes with us, well, then they can also fight. Anyway, first enemy army is having a very, very bad day. They have not really reached any of our units so far, and are getting demolished. Now, the dangerous part is going to be the fact that we've moved in such a way that it allows one of the enemy reinforcements and, well, both of the enemy reinforcement armies to essentially hit us from 2 different directions, which will be dangerous, but it might keep it interesting because this first army is no hope of reaching us whatsoever and is already pretty much destroyed. That said, more and more reinforcements are arriving, and while the bounce bow remains in our favor for now, I'll wager that it won't be that way for too long. Alright, a couple more hits. The Ogre Bulls are actually probably more vulnerable to our missile fire than the Hobgobs are, just because, you know, more blow darts and javelins and whatnot, well, mostly blow darts in this particular case, can target those big boys and knock out models. A lot of overkill most likely happening against the Hobgobs. And, oh, gotta be careful with that. Actually, that wasn't so much damage. Alright, we'll allow the Parasaurs to ride these guys down, and in fact we're going to do so with all 4 of the units, as we need to reposition our Chameleon, Skinks, Stalkers, and Skink Skirmishers in order for them to meet the other 2 armies. There we go. Parasaurs are just stomping on those poor Hobgobs. And doing so quite well. And Parasaurs are really big, aren't they? I do like the fact that they have 3 Skink Riders, though. It's kind of neat. Anyway, how we doing? The second army has arrived and is rather blobbed up, at least with the Hobgobs that are leading the pack, with a unit of Man-Eaters, or was a unit of Man-Eaters, or is now down to 10% of its HP, and with every blow dart, it drops even further. I don't think this one's getting out of there. And so far, this is going very much in our favor. We got a nice little half-moon formation for the enemy to move into the kill box, and, well, between all of the Chameleon units and our 4 Troglodon-type units, the enemy's got little to no chance. That said, the other army is fast approaching, and ooh, that volley. About 80% of the HP damage to the Nobblers from the Blessed Chameleon Stalkers. And, well, then they can tear them to shreds in melee and move on to the next unit. And this is a Blessed Chameleon Stalker unit, so their missile strength is considerably buffed thanks to all of the, well, thanks to various things, including some buildings that buff them. Well, looks like a Firebelly decided to attempt to rush us as well together with the other Ogre Bulls, but, well, that plan didn't last for too long as the Firebelly falls. And like the Man-Eaters and the Ogre Bulls before him, the bounce power has shifted to about 80% in our favor. And I guess the arrival of the reinforcements haven't changed all that much. Even getting pinned between armies won't change that much, as the 4 units of Parasaurs and the 2 units of Stalkers will tear through the smaller reinforcing army, while the Chameleons can continue their work at obliterating the main stack. And a little bit of help from the summoned Ripperdactyls, of course, which we now have apparently 2 summons of. Huh, wait, what did we do to get 2 summons of this? Is it because... Huh. I gotta double check. Is it because Tiktaq'to hit level 50? Does that have something to do with it? I gotta double check. Because I genuinely don't remember anything saying you now get 2 Ripperdactyl summons. And that's fairly considerable, I gotta say. Oh, right. Tiktaq'to will have unlocked a rank 50 special thing, wouldn't he have? Because in SFO, I believe Lizardmen units have a rank 50, like, special buff. I imagine that's it. I gotta double check what it does, though. I'm saying double check a lot. It's lost all meaning. Anyway, the last of the enemy units, Gorgers, of course, unbreakable, but, well, enough of blow darts will bring them down, and the battle will be fully ours. I'm gonna try to back off a teensy bit, not that we've taken all that much damage, but, well, 23, now 24 Skink Colossus is still unacceptable. And bring him down, there we go, and with that, the last of the unbreakable units falls, and all 3 Ogre stacks get absolutely trounced. Beautiful. The most units that took damage, a couple of these Chameleon units, but, or Blessed Skink Skirmisher units, actually makes more sense that they did take a little bit more damage, because they probably, I think we have Snipe on our Chameleon Skinks now, thanks to the unique line buffs, but we wouldn't have that on the Skirmishers, would we? I gotta double check. Anyway. Alright, there we go. This army is, well, unsurprisingly working out to be very, very strong. We got 41,000 damage on one of the Blessed Skink Skirmishers, 53 and 47 on a couple of the Blessed Chameleon Skinks as well. Arizor Riders, 18, 31, 27, and 22k. Pretty solid, and we did get mileage out of them going into melee after range, or including range as well. Lots of work out of both of our oracles. They got comets, they got Flux of Doom, they've got their feral troglodytes, and just generally do good work. Ashokla at 14.6k, not too bad, and targeting single entities perhaps explainable. Anyway, kill and eat. Lovely work. And I don't imagine... well, there probably will still be a decent amount of defenders, but I'm gonna hope that we can just auto-resolve what remains here. These guys don't have an ogre camp, do they? They don't look like they do. Oh. Yeah, they're still kind of friendly. Alright, so, just out of curiosity, are we able to move on towards, for example, this fella? No, okay, so we have to go for this place, but we can just auto-resolve it. And take pretty much no damage. Alright, occupy. Like so, and then that, if not completes the province, at least links these places together. So, the question is, yeah, we're willing to peace out with you. Now, they are friends with, yeah, pretty much all of the Cathans around. I don't mind leaving one ogre faction, so yeah, we'll do the trade agreement, we'll do the military access. Do we trust the defensive alliance? I don't know. I'd rather take their money. There's no... Yeah, I mean, blood vultures are birds, but I'm not sure about any of the ogreish units, so we'll do that. Leave them alive and just hope that they don't build an ogre camp in our territory. Wait, did I not do the peace trade agreement? Apparently I didn't. The heck? What did I do then? Well, whatever. You know what, we could do the trade agreement after they're willing to give us a little bit more cash, so we'll wait on it. And how are they in terms of friendliness? Well, they'll become friendlier in a little bit. They don't like our treaties with the Spirits of Shanlan and the Firebeard's excavators. I'm actually surprised that they can identify each other, but they're not so hateful of each other that it matters much. Alrighty. Guess we could have waited to chase this guy down, but all good. What do we have here? Ruins of Kahirnan. Once the proud capital of the fallen realm of Siap is said to have been tied to the enigmatic twin snakes Marga, a path of thought and ritual now shrouded in shadowed memory. Neat. Alrighty. Anybody else need to do things? I believe we do. Tlashbot. Well, actually... I mean... that's a question. Will they stay or will they go? That was the question. Guess we're about to find out. Tlashbot, move in here to Leech XP. And Kael'Kano, you are going to move on in. Let's see if we can't draw out that garrison. Oh, I should have popped Uriegum in an army, and I guess it doesn't matter if they're going to run away anyway. Well, let's besiege them. Maybe Mr. Tretchy will come on in? We'll do that, and we'll besiege. But with the besieging, it's a valiant defeat, so I imagine they should attack us. Probably should have put you in camp. In theory, they might ambush us with this, but on the other hand, ambushing and, you know, with so many flyers is probably not going to work out so well. Anyway, Iriegum, you are a beast hunter. We're going to pop you into Tlashbot's army for now. Might swap you into Kael'Kano's army so we have like a personal guard for Lord Croak, even though the Star Chamber Guardians are already there. And again, they do have that star gift already. But for now. Chance of interception, ambush defense chance. Oh, let's switch to Astromancy stance just so that they can't ambush us in case they attempt it. And then sit there otherwise. Alright. Presumably they will attack us as soon as we end the turn, and then there's Morathi to consider as well. Anyways, Latata and Nakai. We've got 2 stacks here. I wonder... what can we attack with? Oh, right, we actually need to apply the points. Alright, so you got Sacred Guardian, Beast Drivers, Spawnkin, and Soulbound, which were the important ones, depending on what else we want to do with the army. Now, Nakai himself, you're going to go for Blade Master for obvious reasons. I guess we could do Devastating Charge because it's funny. Sure. Devastating Charge, Miasma of Despair. Oh, we do want Agility of the Lizard, both for the speed and for the missile resistance, but... we could get Aura of Inertia first, so Impassioned and... I guess Scarred Vet, give him more HP. And then, yeah, there's a lot of other points to spend on and stuff. You obviously want Earthblood as much as possible. Alright. Now, we do have some alignments. We should... Can you guys go Quetzal? Just out of curiosity. They can. So the Blessed ones can go Quetzal, and the non-Blessed ones can go Quetzal. Or Sacred ones, rather. You can do Banish, though it's a little bit wasteful because you already have magical attacks. I'm gonna say Quetzal's what we're going to do. For most of them. Alright, let's start Quetzaling it up then. Slowly but surely. 38 per, good lord. And... yeah, Quetzal. Let's Quetzal 1. Yeah, so I was wondering, do we try to send Zlatata in with this army together, or no? Or will they run if they attempt it? Because like this, it looks like we can fight 2 armies at once. I mean, it's Nakai, so maybe we should just do that. Alright, Guests of the Raja. You may be friends with some of our allies, and they might not like us killing you, but we can't leave you near our territory with near 100 negative relationships, so we're gonna do this. I wonder if these guys are gonna go to Fort Chryse here, but I guess we'll see. Nakai. Go for this place. Alrighty, Pyrrhic victory, but they will not run and they will fight. We got 2 Sun Standards of Chotek. I'm gonna say pop them both onto the Basties with Reviv and then just keep them near to the Croxes. And we gotta get the Banner of Swiftness for Nakai, and I forgot to do that. Okay, hopefully I don't forget, but first of all, the fight. So fight we go. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Admittedly, I didn't really care that much about knocking out the Beasts of the Raja, but I did want Nakai to get into combat. Yeah, I would be running too, a guy on horse. Nakai's prancing towards you, swinging that mace every which way. You're gonna be trying to book it on out of there. Will he be able to run forever? I don't know about that. We do have to give Nakai, yeah, the Banner of Swiftness, because he doesn't have Strider right now, and obviously the extra burst of speed would be nice, but Strider would have prevented the general from escaping this. Not to worry, I'll do it after the battle, presumably, if I remember. But yeah, there's only so long that you can run, especially if you get poisoned by that Troglodon, which will allow Nakai to close the distance. Come on. And just bite his head off, man, it's not... Alright, I just want to see how much damage the first hit will deliver. Come on. I think Nakai's just toying with him at this point. If you're wondering why I'm doing this, there we go. Alright, there's hit 1, and that's about half of his HP, and the enemy lord is immediately terrified. Yep. To be fair, he was probably terrified the entire time. Yeah, looks like he's booking it on out of there as well. I'm not sure that he can escape now, though. There we go, a big old bonk from the mace, and the second blow delivers another, what, 40% of his HP? He ain't escape. He gets torn in half. Oh, Nakai's always so entertaining to watch. It's obnoxious, but anyway, good job. You get pets. Yeah. Alright, well, the main stack is here now, but the rest of our army is going to await them in the jungles here. Nakai can just stay on out here and draw the enemy forward, but I do want the enemy to close, not just because they have a lot of artillery and that could potentially be fairly damaging to the, well, at least the skink units, maybe not so much the Croxagores, but at the same time because we want them to move towards the center of the map, where we will hopefully be able to chase them down a lot better than if it was right at the edge of the map where they appeared and would have just rushed off the battlefield. Anyway, our units of Croxagores are led by the Regiment of Renown, the cohort of Watla, and they've got armor sundering, magical damage. Probably gonna be pretty darn nice. And of course, once again, we had to have some skinks in the army. And I figured Chameleon Stalkers would be the way to go, because this feels like a melee army. We could do maybe some Croxagores in range with our other Croxagore army, and depending on how those Gekalo function, maybe swap some in. Maybe to that army rather than Nakai's, because does Nakai need any help? Nakai is one of those one-man army lords that doesn't really. That said, he is going to take some hurt, but he does have regeneration, so even with all that armor-piercing missile fire, it's not going to be all that threatening. He books it towards the war wagons. And let's see, does about a quarter of their HP in damage and roars at it and it explodes. Fantastic. No notes. I like that it exploded just when the guy was roaring and not when he was bonking away at it. There we go. Well, obviously, yeah, once again, Nakai doesn't care. He can move into the center of the enemy army, but the rest of our army wants to play too, so here come the piles of Ogres and Skinks as well. It may not be a cavalry charge, but many a warm blood will still be sent flying by the crocodilians. And the battle is joined. The enemy main line has not yet buckled under the charge from our Ogres, but how long they remain without buckling as remains to be seen, especially since we have Reviv crystals and the enemy very much does not. Alright, looks like over on the left flank, the melee units that we crashed into failed to protect the enemy range, and it looks like we should be able to overrun and obliterate the piles of crossbows. Granted, the enemy does outnumber us by a fair bit, but, well, we have the higher quality troops, and the more entertaining troops by a huge margin in terms of their animations. The big old bonks and the death rolls and all the other stuff the Ogres do. There we go. I don't even want to know what to call that, sort of leaping tackle type deal. But it's great. We do, however, take a few hits to the burning heads, losing half HP on one of our chameleon stalkers, as the enemy has, what, 2 or 3 units of fire wizards that they brought with them. Gotta appreciate it for at least being on theme there, though. Multiple fire wizards, I like it. I like it a lot. It'd be nice to have that much wizard capacity when playing Empire to do a sort of, I don't know, wizard colleges themes for specific armies. Yeah, next time I play Gelt, maybe I'll do something like that. Theme it around specific wizard colleges to the best of my degree. I think that's a plan, especially since we did Carl last. And I don't really want to do Wolfhard because I'm not very interested in him as a lord. I'm still kind of very much meh on him even being a lord as compared to... Honestly, there's a lot of choices in the Empire rather than... I mean, honestly, Wolfheart over... what is his faction even called? Wait. Hunts Marshal's Expedition. Yeah, doing Hunts Marshal's Expedition rather than Boris and Middenland is just kind of silly. I assume it's because they're saving it for something, but it's silly. And you know it's silly, I know it's silly, CA knows it's silly, and yeah, anyway, rant over. To be continued. For now, though, if it isn't another enemy general actually daring to charge Nakai, of course losing 40% of his HP with a bonk. And, oh wow, he survived the second bonk with 31 HP remaining. Good job, buddy. And, oh, that, one of his troops got knocked away, and that helped him survive to live another 3 seconds before Nakai bonked him again, and sending halberdiers and greatswords flying afterwards. But with that, the enemy army shatters, and the battle, completely unsurprisingly, is ours. Nice to get a big ol' pile of enemies for Nakai to cut his teeth on, though. Yeah, alrighty, there we go. The poor Imperials got absolutely annihilated. We had no problem overrunning their lines with the Skink and Kroxigor alike, and speaking of, looks like one of the regular Blessed Kroxigors at 18k damage got the prize there, and 33k, 38k on one of our units of Blessed Chameleon Stalkers. Very, very nice. I love the Kroxigors and the Skinks buffing each other in blobs as well. Nakai himself got 21,000 damage, so less than the Blessed Chameleon Stalkers, but we can see that his damage delta's gold value was higher because obviously he may not have gotten as many infantry regular units minced, but there was a lot of heroes and lords for him to take care of, which he did with gusto. Lovely. Kill an 8. Alrighty, and Tasman of Protection, and Nakai. You can still potentially move. I wonder if we can move Zlatata into this place, and then I'm a little bit worried about Fort whatever. And I guess these guys are kind of near it. You know what? Okay, game, please, auto-resolve. Free glyph necklace. Occupy. Actually, speaking of, Zlatata, actually you can hold on to that glyph necklace, I don't mind. Alright, so we got this place now, and we'll go for the alignment of monuments, and you know what? Keep the spawn pools of the Braves. We do need, well, just keep it, screw it. At least for now. And Nakai, you are not, unfortunately, able to go into Matridium, but you can channel near it. Alright. And then I guess that means to protect these places, we will send Izdat in to be near him. Alright, and these guys are now holding units for Quetkar's new army. Alright, and then this army we will give to that level 25 lord, I guess the leader of the Defenders of the Great Plan faction. Because, I mean, why else would we have a random level 26 guy? Law. Yeah, so we'll send him up here maybe to help with the Zinchans, maybe to deal with chaos. I did want to wipe out the turtle or the shell crackers. Just don't like the idea of them killing turtles. Anyway, what else do we have this turn-wise? Unfortunately, I don't think we have enough time to end the turn and fight Morathi. Who is Yarrick? Oh, one of these guys. Yeah, alright. So these guys are fine where they are. We have a little bit of time until we have the regular Dreadsaurians. We should get a couple Dreadsaurians for Nakai as well, just for fun. They're kind of a little bit Croxagore coated, but anyway. What else do we have here? Crocodilian coated is what I was trying to say, but anyway. Let's see what we got. We got a little bit of money, so we can spend it. Let's go for, I guess, this place, because it has a trade good, and that's still pretty important. Alright, not collecting the money here as yet, nor here as yet until it reaches 100% Haunted Forest. This is probably going to be a pretty good place to get capacities going, and we need capacities of both the skink and the Saurus variety. That doesn't mean not getting other stuff, but you know, it is fine. We also probably no longer need the force walls here, so we might as well delete that. Alright, next up we've got, what is this? The Girdled Grounds. Go for this place because it has these spices. Sartorn, sure. We're gonna go for the skink foraging camp here, however, just so that it builds faster, and then similarly here, capacities. All these single places. They're never going to generate enough money for us to really care about, you know, maxing out the, well, money generation. Anyway, you're fine as you are. Ooh, yes, Santiago Mystic Fern Grove, and obviously the, 5k, but still got to get those geomantic pylons. It's not like we're maxed out on the spawning sequence, as we're still using it up every single turn. Alrighty. A Lost City of the Old Ones, yeah, might as well upgrade you. Of course, we'd upgrade the Lost City of the Old Ones, and I see the corruption is still going, so we're just going to have to leave this place in the alignment of order for now. Although at this point, you know what, never mind. I'm going to say switch to alignment of monuments because this place will still decorruptify itself just fine, even without the alignment of order. Alrighty, and we're just about out of money, and we are just about out of time, I think, as well. Ooh. We have a pterodon hatchery here. I don't know if we're going to keep that here or whether we're going to keep the entire place. I mean, we do have the ancient city of Quintex, which gives us plus 10 growth provinces. Maybe we keep this place, but then give everything else to these guys. I will think about it. Either way, as I said, we're out of time, or at the very least, don't have enough time to end the turn and fight Morathi. Gonna enjoy that at the start of next episode as 2 Dark Elven stacks versus Gorok's defensive army. Kind of an interesting matchup. Highly defensive versus highly offensive. both in various meanings. It's Morathi after all. But anyway, as yeah. Anyway, we've got we got that fight to look forward to at the start of next episode. Plus, whatever we can do with the convoy. And due to the new wars, we had to spend a little bit more time in this particular episode going through one turn than I would have liked. But all good. We'll try to go for a few more turns forward next episode. Oh, and we got this fight to look forward to at the start of next episode's turn as well. Lovely. Stay tuned for more Tiktaq'to. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.